And I want to go to that campaigning inside information I got out of Yes 23, put it to air last night. These are the exchanges that went on between an official campaigner in Yes 23 and people that were doing phone canvassing. A whole lot of dodgy tactics, basically saying if you are, leaning towards voting no because you're worried about a treaty, well, don't worry, just tell them it's only advisory. If treaty is really important to you, well, then tell them it's okay. The treaty's in the Uluru Statement.
Yeah, they leave used car salesmen for dead, don't they? They've got an answer for everything. But unfortunately, unlike the car industry, where we've got lemon laws throughout the country, if you buy a dodgy car, you can take it back. You don't get a second chance with this Voice to Parliament referendum. Once it's sealed, once those ballots are closed and they counted, if this falls on the yes side, it's with us forever. This is like the House of Horrors that you can never exit. And there's 3 stages to this, as you've rightly pointed out, Peter. I've got to say, your coverage and Sky's coverage has been so comprehensive, and I hope, particularly in regional Australia, where we get the free-to-air coverage of Sky, I hope people have been watching people like you and Andrew Bolt and others, Rita Panahay, because you've been so in-depth with your detail. You haven't scared people, you've just been factual and to the point. Not like these campaigners, not like these people that are on polling booths for the yes side. You've just been factual, and I hope that Australians see the sincerity in why so many of us on the Conservative side are worried about this Voice to Parliament, and I hope, for your sake, you all see the merit in voting no come next Saturday.
Well, I think it's cutting through. I think it's cutting through in places like Hunter Valley. Abbott was up there the other day and said, it's a Labor stronghold, as you know. A huge support for the no camp. Voters, not the protesters, but the voters out at Western Sydney, pretty much that was the view today from him and Warren Mundine. And we've even got this poll out today, Luke, that they've got a show of support for the no campaign in Teal seats. Now, the margin's slim, but it shows that all 7 Teal seats around the country, if the polls are right, will vote no. Now, the Teals, the MPs in those seats, they are very strongly in favour of yes. So this is, I think, the first time we've seen in a poll this sense that they are at odds with their electorates.
Really instructive, Peter. First off, those seats aren't gone forever, and Conservatives should just take that on board, because this is quite instructive. And look, across the breadth of my audience, I struggle to get someone to say, I think yes is the way to go. I had an Indigenous gentleman call me from northern Queensland this morning and told me that the Voice wasn't representative of him. Noel Pearson didn't represent him. He was offended by all of that. And at the end of the day, if it comes down to detail, if it comes down, and Ray Martin said it doesn't come down to detail, it doesn't even matter. That's what he said, to contradict himself. We've got to accept that we've just put the trust in the government that lied about power prices, the government that imports our highest immigration on record in the middle of a housing, in particular, rental crisis. And we're meant to give them the benefit of the doubt. Give me a break.
I'll leave it here with this one, if I can, to you, James, because I know you have long been an advocate for a proper audit, a governance check, but also financial audit of what the multitude of Indigenous bodies do with the taxpayer billions that we gift to them out of a lot of goodwill, because I think every Australian wants to see better outcomes for Aboriginal people, particularly those in remote areas. But this push on an audit this week, Yes 23 campaign director Dean Parkin said, no, we don't need one. It's not the answer to Indigenous disadvantage. A lot of calls for it, though, on the coalition side, particularly that justice agency in the NT that's in the courts over serious allegations of corruption.
Yeah, Pauline Hanson's been calling for accountability over the billions, and we're talking this year close to $34 billion at least that's been spent throughout non-for-profit Indigenous organisations, corporations. Look, there's one thing that we know for sure. There is corruption, there is nepotism. It doesn't matter how little or how much. We need accountability for the people of this country who go to work 5, 6 and sometimes 7 days a week and then give up a significant amount of their taxes their pay every single week to make sure there's funding available for these programs. Accountability is the very least we ask of this government and of the previous government. We asked the coalition in the last term of government. They didn't want to do it either. So I'm glad they're on board. It's time it happens. And I think the majority of Australians, whether you're Indigenous or Australian, of any other colour or creed, you'd agree with this. We all want accountability so we know that the money's been spent appropriately.